Hey, this is Nick Lee from Moontooth. You're listening to the Vulgar Display of Podcast.
Hi, and welcome to the Vulgar Display of Podcast, live from the Barn Studios in Southeast Missouri. You got the Mox here with Anthony and Justin. Fellas, how's it going?
Oh, it's going, man.
I'm excited.
Excited. Got one of our favorite bands online right now. Special guest, Mr. Nick Lee from Moontooth. Nick, how are you, man?
Doing all right, guys. How are you?
Doing really well tonight. We have a special announcement, a couple special announcements. One being you are the first repeat guest on Vulgar Display of Podcast, and we have the studio audience here to even... Woo-hoo! That's how much we think of Moontooth, man. Thanks for coming back on the show.
That's awesome. Thanks for having me back. That's really cool.
You guys are getting ready to go out on a killer tour with one of our favorite newer bands, Callous Cowboys, but also Protest the Hero. You excited for the tour?
Oh, totally. I'm excited in many, many ways. I mean, Protest the Hero is a band we've talked about wanting to tour with, you know, since the early days, and also just to get on a real tour again is just going to feel really good after the last year.
And you've had to obviously take off for a little bit. You had some health issues I know that you've been dealing with and maybe even still deal with. You want to tell us a little bit about the health update with everything that's going on?
Sure. I got struck with autolimbic encephalitis kind of out of nowhere a little over a year ago. And so we were about to play with Cave-In, which I was very excited for. I remember that much. And had a very bad seizure at the studio. And, you know, thought I was getting out of it, but then that ended up having really bad seizures before I was out of the hospital, and they ended up putting me into a coma to treat me for, I guess almost a month. And then I've been in and out of the hospital since, mostly out, thankfully. I was doing injections, like IVIG injections for a while, but that wasn't really, apparently I'm like one of the only patients where that wasn't working. So my doctor, my neurologist, has been sort of playing with different meds for the last couple months. So the things have been getting better by the day. I'm not all the way out of the woods. You know, seizures, they keep happening, but they're not as bad. They're not as serious. I mean, they're still seizures, so they're pretty serious, but they're, you know, it's really the limbic part of the brain really fucks with the memory part of the brain and the emotional part of the brain, you know, so all the things that are really important for playing music. So it's been a tough road the last year, but I'm lucky that I have my wife, you know, with me all the time, and my family, my band, my friends. I have a good support system, so I'm lucky in that sense. But yeah, man, I mean, we're back to, you know, weekly rehearsals. I'm getting ready for RPM Fest is first. That's kind of going to be our little warm-up gig. That's a really fun metal festival out in Western Mass. We'll be playing like Weed Eater and King Parrot and Black Tusk, and then, like, I don't know, a lot of really cool bands. That's Labor Day weekend. And yeah, and then the Protest tour is October, November.
Yeah, you gave us quite a scare with all the health issues. Glad to hear things are better. You know, you mentioned it kind of affecting your memory. Did that affect your guitar playing at all? Did you have to go back and relearn some things?
Yeah, I've been relearning everything. It pretty much like put me back to square one. When I first got out, I thought that wasn't going to be as hard as it was. Or it has been, but yeah, just the way that, you know, playing with the meds and all that, like to get rid of the seizures has really fucked with that part of my brain. So I also play in the band Riot, and I had to kind of tell those guys, like, look, like the rest of this year, you know, it's going to be just for Moontooth and, you know, for just getting my health right. And they totally understood, and then were afraid to take me out anyway. Yeah, I've pretty much just been kind of just working on getting the Moontooth set back where it was. It is a bummer because like that last big tour we did with Dance Gavin Dance, went really well for us. Well, we were kind of like, I would say kind of the odd man out on that tour, just because, I don't know, just not the same genre, so to speak. But so we were kind of like winning the crowd. We were first 3 or 4 Plymouth volumes, and I'm not gonna remember who else, but right now I'm fucking that up. Sorry to whoever that is right now. But so it was kind of always like our job to like win the crowd over. We'd have like a few people in the crowd who knew who we were, but it was always like kind of like, I don't know. I feel like between that and Riot and teaching, I was getting to the point where I had right before my wife would had to tell me this because my memory was so shot, but like right before my first bad seizure where I had to go to the hospital, I did like 12 lessons in a row, like just on Zoom, so after COVID, like all my teaching went to Zoom, which in a way was convenient for me, because it was like not driving from place to place and not working for other people, and it was just whoever wanted to come to me. But so between all those 3 things, I was at this. I feel safe to say at the top of my game as far as playing. So I've really been trying to like, every day practice as if I'm one of my own students.
Yeah, Nick, we've been following, your progress ever since, the band posted, what happened there. And actually, to backtrack a little bit, congratulations. I know you recently got married, so that's awesome, man. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
So when you say you have to relearn things, is it relearning how to play guitar or just relearning the songs or a combination of both?
Probably a combination of both. I mean, when I first got out, I felt like my playing was I was in between being in a coma and being on so many meds, like it was affected. But then as time went on and the meds got changed, and playing with that part of my brain, I guess, to just get it so I wouldn't have seizures anymore, it really fucked me up physically and my memory. So it was a little bit. It was not like I had to learn from square one. Like I still remembered, some key scales and whatever. And I recently picked up like my classical guitar book from college, and it's like, oh, can I still read music? Okay, cool. I can still read music. Awesome. But yeah, a lot of the Moontooth stuff was like it's not so much like learning it from scratch, but it's just kind of like just getting back to where I was with it. It's hard to put into words, but I was lucky that I had written a lot of it as time went on. When we were doing the most recent record, Phototroph, I had to like write a lot of it down. I mean, that's kind of how I write solos and stuff like that. And sometimes how I write songs is like I need to kind of write things out while I'm doing it, or just to keep track of what the fuck I'm doing. So luckily I had a lot of it written down, and so I went through I have a lot of books and my fucking laptop and whatever, and I just kind of found what I could,
Yeah, I just want to commemorate you for not only the dedication that you put into it, but the fact that you could relearn everything all over again after a traumatic experience like that and the medical issues. I'm a musician myself. I'm more of a singer, but I fundamentally play 8 other instruments, and I couldn't imagine having to relearn, my band's songs and relearning the fundamentals of, instruments I've been picking up playing my entire life. So I just want to congratulate you on the dedication and the progress you've made.
Thank you. I mean, yeah, it's like as a musician, as you know, it's like it's not a, and you want to keep going and move forward as I do. We have some new song, a handful of new songs. Like I want to work on those. I don't want to go back and relearn old shit, but it's like I have to. I don't have a choice. I
totally understand that.
It's like like it was really more. when I first got out, it was kind of like I was in like physical therapy as well because I was in a coma for so long, I was, intubated coma or whatever. So I had to, there was a lot of like just rebuilding myself, but I really like my doctor, my neurologist, and she always says to me like, we're trying to, just go do you, and it's like you can't just flip a switch and just be back to where you were, but we don't want you to just be like sitting in the house like crying and hiding, we want you to go out and get back to where you were, and I'm like, it's not exactly easy to relearn these fucking songs and practice them, but
Right.
but it's like the fact that it gets better, this definitely feels good. But it's like in the last few months, it's like when I'd lose, the structure of a song just from the memory's sake, whereas like, like where something would be so just integrated like muscle memory, and all of a sudden it's like, wait, what's the fucking bridge of the song? It's like,
Right.
it's crushing. It's really people talk about making, just make, your brain's got to make those connections again, and hopefully they stick. People throw like advice at me, and something that I kind of avoid, maybe for better or for worse, is like when people are like, oh, you should go check out this group about encephalitis. It's like, I don't really want to read about encephalitis
Right.
when I have downtime. But when I did find some Facebook group, there was one quote that stuck with me, is that like my mind is moving faster than my brain. And it's like, I feel that a lot, I feel that when I speak, I lose words in the middle of sentences and stuff like that, but I certainly feel that when I'm playing, it's like my mind knows what to do, but my brain won't, or sometimes my body won't allow it to happen. So it's just, that just comes down to practice.
We were just talking off air before we came on air about a different subject altogether, but it's kind of connecting with this too, in that music is healing, and maybe not the physical healing that your body needs or your brain needs or whatever it is, but that was a traumatic experience I'm sure that you went through. Are you finding that getting back writing, playing, touring, being with the band, do you feel that that's healing for you?
Oh, 100%. I mean, like we did one show, which was kind of a big deal for me, and like just to kind of play one, but I was like, I need to do this for myself, but like in the same sense that like people have thrown like puzzle books at me and stuff like that, like I was doing one today, just like crossword puzzles with things like that, which I kind of fucking hate, but like I've just been doing them just because it's just something for my brain to do, and but yeah, like music is exactly that. It's almost like a puzzle, it's like, but there's so much more to it. Obviously, there's the emotional part of it. And,
Yeah, it's the language for the soul.
yeah, totally. I like that. That's, in teaching, actually, it's hard. I can't teach, as many students as I was teaching before this happened to me. But I've taken on a couple of students, and I'm continuing to add students, a little bit more and more each week. And like, I talked to my teacher who was in Riot. The reason I'm in Riot, he's been in that band since '89, and it's like, I asked him, I was like, I was thinking about even coming to you for like lessons. And he's like, well, I pretty much just be probably giving you the same shit that you're giving your students, and it's true, and we agree that like teaching is actually, like, teaching music is one of the best things you can do for playing music, and I've definitely found that over the years, because I'll learn a song I've never learned, or just have to explain something in a way that I've never had to explain it. So
The idea of you going to get a guitar lesson and just knowing your ability and how well you play the guitar is funny to me in a way. But it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger going to a fitness guru or something like,
Right.
no, we got this figured out.
yeah, it was more kind of just like, like I jam with my buddy Derek. I play with I used to play in a band with him called Rice Cultivation Society, and you can find some of those records on Bandcamp. And it's very much not metal, but it's the guitar playing in it is beautiful, and just some of this we just we haven't played together in a long time, and just to sit together and be like, all right, here's the same scale, but here's this weird way I've been playing it. You know what I mean? Like, so there's always something. There's always more to learn. It's like, yeah, you know the basics, you know the scales, you know the positions and the shapes, and you know whatever kind of way you practice it. But there's always something different. You know, before this happened to me, I was getting really into Chet Atkins and Jerry Reed and stuff, Jerry Reed, and just trying to get some more of that finger picking, which you can hear on the last two records for sure. But just trying to get just understand the guitar the way they do. You know, it's like totally not. You know, I grew up wanting to be James Hetfield. You know, and so it's like, or Dimebag or whatever, and it's like, this is not what they were doing on the guitar, it's like, but there's only you got so many notes and scales and shit that you're going to use. So.
Yeah. Right. So Nick, we love that you're taking the time to talk to us right now, and we don't want to keep you too much longer, but we can't get out of here without talking about the last record, Phototroph. That thing.
How did you say it?
Phototroph? How do you say it?
I still don't know how to say it. Nick, can you clarify how we say it? Phototroph? How we're supposed to say it?
You know what? You could say it however you want, as long as you don't say photograph. That's the only.
Def Leppard, photograph. Yeah.
I don't know why Nymphaeaceae doesn't trip me up, but that does.
Oh God.
you got to talk to John. It's something. I think it's phototroph, but I think.
Oh, so you're confused too. Great.
I said it wrong before, so don't worry about it.
Yep, but that is an absolute banger of an album. It was my favorite. We did a ranking of our favorite albums last year, and that was number one on my list. I'm pretty sure the title track, Apple Music, probably is like, you're playing this again.
You're like, stop, bro.
Yeah, it was absolutely like, how you get like a yearly breakdown of your top played stuff, and that was my number one song, number one album, and all that.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, man.
Just an absolute banger of an album, man.
That's really cool. Yeah, I mean that track in particular, we were talking about relearning guitar and stuff, is like that track in particular. But there's a lot of stuff on that record where I was really trying to, like, I'm gonna write a song that more or less keeps things in key, but like still makes it this kind of wild progressive metal song, or so that was what I was kind of having fun with on a lot of that record. And I feel like I really feel like everybody pushed themselves, and I feel like John, our singer John, really just went above and beyond, and just finding things about it, and just the way he sang on it. It's just I don't know. I don't know that the next one will sound like that at all, but I think that I appreciate that you dug it that much. That's really cool.
And you're absolutely right. His vocals on there, it's such a hook that he has on the way he sings, and your guitar work too. Your guitar work is what drew me in when I first heard the song, and then as I listened to it a little bit more, I was like, man, I cannot get this melody out of my head now.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it's like we talked about writing stuff down. Like I found some of the stuff that I had written initially for that record, and it was, not totally different, but there was a lot of, there's a riff at the very, very end of the song that was kind of like, that was the riff. That was like the main riff, and as time went on, I remember that it got changed as we were jamming on it more, and he was writing to it more. Because a lot of times, like, I'll give him something, and he'll come back to me with his melody, and it'll shape, we definitely shape what each other do a lot as we, are making it, and Ray is, he owns, our drummer, he owns the studio and is, a producer. And so it's like, he's very, very handy with like, just kind of like getting it in fucking Pro Tools and just like, well, what if we did this or that, So it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's like, I wish I had more of a memory of tracking it, but I don't right now. I hope maybe it'll come back.
Well, we love that album, and we're really excited about this tour. We're pretty bummed that it's not coming to St. Louis, but Moontooth, Callous Cowboys, Protest the Hero Tour. I bet you're excited to get back out on the road and do that. What's the plans after the tour? You guys writing new material, working on a new album? What'll be the plans for next year?
Yeah, definitely working on a new album. We've when we had time at rehearsals, we definitely have been pulling some of that stuff up and like jamming on it or just listening to it and talking about it. But my hopes is that, we'll finally get overseas, because I think we're way overdue for that. And I think if this hadn't happened to me, that plan would have already been in stake, but that's my hope. But yeah, we'll see, man. This tour will be a big telling of what the next year, is. But I have my wedding celebration in the fall as well, because that got moved. We eloped, but when I first got out of the hospital, but we didn't get to actually have a wedding, so that will be in the fall, and then we have the RPM Fest thing, and then this tour. So I have to stay like one day at a time, because I'll lose it, but yeah, and just hopefully like my health gets a little bit better as time goes on, but it's still like a weird puzzle for these neurologists to try to figure it out. It's like they're figuring it out through me, which freaks me the hell out, but it's whatever. Do what you got to do. Just make it better.
Day at a time.
Right.
Joined here with Nick Lee of Moontooth, one of our favorite bands. Anthony mentioned your album being number 1 on the list. If you're listening to this podcast and you have not heard it, you need to go out and give it a listen. Phototroph, we think. Well, we'll have to ask somebody. And coming to a town near you, hopefully, Protest the Hero, Callous Cowboys, and Moontooth. Nick, we appreciate you joining us today, and all well wishes to you and the band.
Appreciate you guys having me, man. Thank you.